Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the X&O Joe Show. I am your host, Joe, and we're going into our segment of the day, A Blower and a Locksmith. For those of you who've been watching, tune in, hit that noti bell, subscribe, like, share, and let's get into it without further ado. Our blower for the day is someone that you may be familiar with. I talked about him in previous episodes. This time, there's a different background to it. Today's blower is Grant Williams. Now, Grant Williams has been a silencer, as of late. He definitely has come off of strong performances. He's actually proven time and time again that within the last 10 games, that he's an overachiever. He's an overachiever. I'm gonna put that out there. He's been touching on the overs out of his last 10 games. 7 of those have gone over. So shout out to Grant for that. He definitely put a silencer on me. I had him against Boston going under. He ended up showing up. Now, this time around, he's going up against the Dallas Mavericks today, right? So with Grant Williams going over, they were once friends in Dallas, possibly, but now it's foes when we get on the court. PJ Washington. PJ Washington has been playing like a man possessed as of late. He's been averaging at least 15 points. He gives you a steal, a block, and 7 boards in the last 10 games. So he's been playing like a man possessed. And I know that tension is brewing between the Dallas Mavericks organization and Grant Williams, perhaps according to Pat Bell. If the storylines is true, there is definitely some tension that's going to be brewing there tonight. And Dallas has just been playing pretty well as of late. They've been on a hot streak as of late. And with the emergence of PJ Washington playing like he is, and the game planning from Dallas to maintain that fifth seed, you got to think I'm leaning more towards Grant being a blower in that aspect. Not necessarily saying he's gonna come out and struggle significantly, but I think Dallas is gonna definitely deal the better hand here. With Grant being a silencer that he is, as hot as Dallas has been, that silencer is gonna need a replacement soon. And with that being said, that's the reason I'm going with Grant Williams tonight as a blower. Not necessarily has anything to do with his skill set. He's proven time and time again, what he's about. And I spoke highly of him in Boston last year with what he was able to do with the Boston Celtics and his impact on their success. But tonight, yeah, Grant Williams. Unfortunately, I'm putting you back out there as our blower for the night, and we'll see what happens with that. If you agree, let me know. Let's have a debate down. Drop the O's if you agree that Grant Williams may perhaps be a blower today. If you disagree, hey, I want to hear what the fans have to say about it. We could definitely have a conversation about it, but I gave you my reason right here, and I'm sticking to it. And without further ado, we're moving into our locksmith of today. Now, our locksmith comes from a person that's familiar with a specific team. We're going to take our talents over and eyeball the Toronto Raptors. Now, the Raptors are down 3 Tyrannosaurus Rexes, man. They are down big with these 3 guys. You're down Scotty Barnes. You're down Jakob Poeltl, and you're down Chris Boucher. These are 3 key rebounders for the Toronto Raptors. So they definitely are going to feel the impacts tonight in tonight's game against Indiana. Now, granted, Toronto is at home, and that's good. But the person that I'm talking about is really familiar with the Toronto scene, and he's familiar with that territory. You know what I'm saying? He's looking to reestablish dominance and feast on anything in sight in the dinosaur era. And when you think about star potential, he has that. He's a little spicy. And last I checked, that Tyrannosaurus was definitely spicy back in Toronto. But now he's an Indiana Pacer, and that locksmith is Pascal Siakam. Uh, a lot of people may not even be aware of this. He's definitely the leading scorer and rebounder on the Indiana Pacers team. Tyrese Halliburton had his hot streak, and he's had some ups and downs. And I already spoke on Indiana, but Pascal Siakam is definitely gonna get his blueprint in Toronto's territory tonight, and definitely stump his footprint right in the center of that logo. Um, he's our locksmith of the day. Hey, they say winner winner chicken dinner, and that's exactly what he's gonna come out there and do. He's gonna feast tonight. He's a winner. He definitely won with Toronto. Um, he's gonna be a double double guy. I look for him to get a double double tonight. And that's on plus money odds. So locksmith of the day, Pascal Siakam. And without further ado, we're going to head into our extra or ordinary segment for the day. Again, this is where I give you my safe money line and spread pick or totals over and unders, or it can be player props. Safe, if you think it's a safe pick and you're rocking with it, you could put a little extra on that. If you think it's up for the date and you think it's ordinary, hey, let's talk about it in the comment section below. I'm more than open to any debates or suggestions that may be relevant to the sports community. Now, when we look at our safe moneyline pick of the day, I'm looking at Eastern Conference, a team that has been resilient defensively. They're going up against the Chicago Bulls. Granted, the Chicago Bulls have been playing, pretty tough, and it's a play-in situation or atmosphere for them. With that 9th and 10th seed, it's going to be survival of the fittest against them in Atlanta. But the New York Knicks is not the Atlanta Hawks. They're going to look to assert dominance, especially on the defensive end, and try to make the Bulls, in that bullpen, you could be quite limited in that square. And the Bull doesn't like to be, contained. But tonight, the Knicks are going to do just that. You gotta speak highly on their defensive tenacity, but not only on the defensive end. Their star player in Jalen Brunson shows just how influential he can be with wins. And that goes back to the Dallas Maverick days. He's proven time and time again. New York, the grandest stage of them all, arguably Madison Square Garden. He's shining bright, and he goes out there, battered, bruised, scarred. It don't matter. Jalen, you got bronze in your name for a reason. The bronze guy, built to last, durable. He's going to represent New York Knicks. So my safe pick of today, it goes to the New York Knicks on the money line against the Bulls. Next, I want to move to a spread pick, and I've told you before, the spread, for sports bettors out there, it can be for a game, it can be for a half, it can be for a quarter, things of that nature. And I'm looking at Philadelphia today. I know they're going up against the Pistons. There's a lot of game time decisions to take into consideration. It's important to note that Philly is playing, with much more at stake here. And I think, that definitely is going to play a part in how things go down today. If you've been watching Philly, you know that, when the game tips off, and especially when Embiid and company is playing and they're at full strength, they get off in a hurry. They like to set the tone quick. And with that, my safe pick on the run line is going to be Philly in quarter one. Take the spread. Quarter one, they're going to look to run and gun early on. And if Embiid's playing, even more reason why you need to hop on the Philly train quick, because he's definitely nobody on the Pistons roster can contain a guy like Embiid, and nobody really almost in the league, can contain a guy like Joel Embiid. It's tough to, even match up with him. So his presence out there alone makes a significant difference for the Philadelphia team. Like I said, you can see the wins and losses, point differentiations when it comes to Embiid playing in a Philly uniform versus when he's out. It's a significant difference. Arguably, they wouldn't even be where they are, had Embiid had not went down, in the season. Had he stayed healthy, they wouldn't even be in this situation, and that's not even up for a debate. The supporting cast that they built around Joel, I think, to me personally, looks like the best that I've ever seen during his time in Philly. So, with that being said, definitely high level of confidence. Philly quarter one, they're playing for much more at stake. Better standings, opportunity to move up in the ladder, where the Eastern Conference standings is really close. So Philly quarter one, take that. And last but not least, I'm looking at player props for another safe bet. That's going to be I'm turning into San Antonio versus the Memphis game. There's a lot of injuries there as well, man. It's close to the end of the season, and these two teams, unfortunately, aren't really competing. But for a play-in spot, But all in all, you're gonna get a game, and there's one man, that's gonna be out there today, and that's Wemby. And these two teams, granted, they may not have a lot of star power out there today. They're probably gonna have to dig deep into the depths of the bench. Uh, if you look closely at these two teams, you know that when it comes to turnovers and things of that nature, they're not really a good team in that in that retrospect. The bottom half of team rankings when it comes to turnovers. But with that being said, it makes logical sense. You're bringing in the depths of your bench to start a game. There's going to be tons of mistakes, learning opportunities for these young players that are getting the opportunity to shine on the platform. But Wemby, we already know he's the future star of the NBA. He's a rookie, but he's definitely shining bright right now, and he's our player prop selection, safe pick. You could take Wemby steals going over 1.5. I like him at least to get 2 steals. He's probably going to go nuts with blocks too. So, if you Wemby fans out there or just sports bettors in general, I'm looking at Wemby steals over 1.5. Take that, take that. Like Diddy say, take that. All right, and I'm moving on to some A1 Day 1 segment where we talk about our most surprising, or shocking news of the day. Um, I want to just touch a little bit on March Madness. It's definitely been crazy from both sides. In the women's game, a phenomenal game, by the way. It was definitely a tale of two halves between Iowa and South Carolina. In the first half, the Hawkeyes shot the lights out from deep. And that pretty much caused a little degree of separation in that first half. We saw Iowa get off to a hot, quick start, and we were beginning to wonder if this undefeated team may be on the ropes. Like I don't know, maybe Iowa could pull it out, man, with Caitlin Clark and co. But just the resiliency of South Carolina and the Gamecocks, we already know. Um, when in doubt, go to a tried and true method. And that's exactly what they did, man. They stuck to the game plan, stuck to the strength of the team, no matter what. We may be struggling a little bit early, but we're gonna go to the tried and true methodology that got us here in the first place. This is why we're undefeated. Where where's that? West rebounding and 2 point percentage, field goal percentage. Tried and true. Tried and true. I'll take that over threes any day. Easier chance to finish, especially with Cardosa down there bullying any Hawkeye that get in the way. That's the biggest Gamecock I've ever seen. So that definitely made a difference. And you can see in the second half, there were a lot of missed opportunities, granted, especially when it comes to free throws as well. That was a key indicator in the game. Iowa did a great job capitalizing on free throws. South Carolina, not so much. But again, they stuck to their tried and true method. And for South Carolina, that's where things start to take a turn. Iowa kind of, those threes wasn't falling as much in that second half, and South Carolina began to exert dominance on all levels, whether it was rebounding, the tried and true method of the 2 point percentage, and then not only that, but they then start to find their rhythm from downtown and shoot better in the second half than the first half, and that obviously made a significant difference to make this game pretty much, um, hope side of victory. I wouldn't say, too much of a blowout, but you kind of knew South Carolina had it, the victory in their grasp. And, again, shout out to South Carolina and the organization for, just going undefeated, man. That's definitely not an easy task for any team. Making history, winning a title, well deserved, well deserved. You just seeing the greatness, and we just as sports fans, just saw the greatness from beginning to end, and it's an amazing accomplishment for that organization. Now let's look into the men's side, which was yesterday. I got an opportunity to check out that game, UConn versus Purdue. I mentioned the key ingredient to being a Purdue team, and obviously, you have to be a team that has pieces to accomplish such a feat, because Purdue, you know, they were arguably the best version of themselves that we've seen in recent years. Um, the game plan was Zach Edey is gonna feast, bro. He's the biggest, the largest Boilermaker, arguably in history, at 7'4", 300 pounds. He finished the game with 37 and 10. The others, not so much. So the game plan was, and this is where I was a little, you know, iffy with NC State, but it was a great matchup with DJ Burns, but we knew that the sheer size advantage of Zach Edey was going to be a problem for NC State. But when it came to UConn, they had a 7-footer of their own. Even though Zach Edey had a monster night, they were able to at times, focus a little bit on the others more so than Zach Edey. And we don't need to send three players down to kind of contain Zach Edey. We'll let the 7-footers go at it. for a while. Every now and then, we'll probably send one, maybe two players down every now and then, mix it up a little bit. But for the most part, Saki is gonna do what he do. We're gonna contain the other Boilermakers. We're gonna contain that level of heat, man. That we can't allow this beer to brew. You could get the heat on one side. It's gonna take a bit longer to brew if it's not fully heated on all sides. So we're gonna lower that temperature, and that's exactly what UConn came out and did. They executed to perfection. The guard play of the Huskies was filled with pup venture, man, and by any means, they're don't get me wrong, they're far from pups, but especially when it comes to tenacity on that defensive end. But from grabbing boards to finishing at the rim, the guard play was phenomenal. Um, and it just executed. You just showcased the execution of team effort when you looked at UConn this year. They were excellent defensively as a team and offensively. Um, so all in all, great effort from Purdue. Shout out to Zach Edey from doing what he normally does and taking Purdue to heights, in his era that you know hasn't been done before. So, congrats to Purdue. Definitely, hard work pays off, and I'm pretty sure it's going to pave a way for a brighter future for these players. I actually, I told people, hey, take them on the money line. I thought, it was going to be a closer game than what it actually turned out to be. I thought seven was too much, too many points given to Purdue, but it turned out, not to even matter. With UConn's execution on both ends, it was a great outcome victory for UConn. Last but not least, I want to move to an interesting article that I seen from Sam Quinn about the importance of playoff lineups, and I thought this was interesting. The playoffs are right around the corner, and there was a key piece in that article where he talked about Pat Riley's statement saying to use 8 players, rotate 7, play 6, and trust 5. Now, as a fan or former athlete or even as a coach in general, would you agree about this perspective when it comes to playoff times? Because, I know a lot of teams go with, their starters. They may have 1, 2 players, at most 3, to rotate in that lineup and play. Um, but I'm just thinking on all aspects. You have starters, you include your key role players, or do you try something new with maybe like a statistics based lineup, something that has given you your highest production for the season? So when I look at a team like Cleveland, you know, we know their starting lineup. Jared Allen, you got Mobley out there. It all depends on you know the other team's lineup and how you look to counter sometimes. So even at times your starting five may be the most dominant, but at times you probably need to adjust to what the other team may have presented, especially if they're like going on a significant run. So I do like the methodology. I understand where it's coming from to use 8, rotate 7, play 6, trust 5. But if you have a team that has pretty solid depth, and obviously throughout the season you trust these players. You know what I'm saying? That depth matters. You got key role players. You got your 6 man. The question always remains, will they step up and shine bright when it matters most? And arguably, you can say that some star players do tend to struggle sometimes too. It doesn't always apply as often. And then you see the emergence of a role player such as a Max Strus with the such as the Gabe Vincents that nobody really cared about. So it's interesting to see that philosophy from Pat Riley with the use eight, rotate seven, play six, trust five. But for an organization that does a phenomenal job when it comes to developing players, I think it's a little more secret sauce than that, especially from players that are not really on the map like that or as prevalent as starter players. So those developmental players can definitely turn into role players and definitely shine bright. So let me know what you guys think. I thought this was a brilliant article, interesting statement from Pat Riley, and I'm just curious to see, uh, you know, the playoffs when it starts, even the play in. I'm just excited as a fan. And this is why, I got my Jimmy Butler shirt right here. In case y'all don't see that, let me put it up because it's almost that time. Deuce deuce. Act like you know. You know, you gotta act like you know. Jimmy Buckets. Him. That's the him himself. You know, it's almost that time. You're gonna get a different temperature of the Miami Heat. Um, with that being said, we're gonna move into our X2O Parlay. I think it's time. I think it's time. I'm looking at an interesting matchup tonight. Play-in implications, most definitely. This is an exciting game, one of the later games tonight. Golden State versus the Lakers. Um, AD is not 100%. I know he took a shot in his eye and had to leave the game. So it's interesting to see how that will play out. He's a game time decision. The Warriors have been playing pretty good ball as of late. Their players have been starting to emerge. Thompsons of the world, CP. You've been getting good play from Podzimski, Draymond Green, Wiggins have been, a little in and out. I don't know exactly what's going on with Wiggins, but you got to think if he does play, he's going to make an impact as well. And of course, Chef, can't forget about Chef Curry. You got to put a little curry on the chicken, So with that being said, the Lakers also have been riding high. He's been another individual that's been having some injuries, but he's been playing through it, and both teams have been playing pretty well. With that being said, I think Golden State. I'm leaning Golden State here on the money line. They're the underdog here. I think in the back of their minds they already know. Um, last year how the playoffs turned out, and they're looking to get some revenge, man. They out here looking for revenge, so it's a perfect time for Golden State. Their players are improving right now. They're setting a tempo, and they already know it's serious implications behind this game. So you can look to assert some dominance and make a statement with a victory early on. And Golden State on the money line is where I'm leaning tonight. Moving into our spread pick, we talk about this bad man right here, Jimmy Butler. We going up against a Hawks team, the Heat. Yeah, we've been riddled with injuries, right now, and there's a lot of game time decisions going on. But we saw, the durability, the willpower, and that temperature rise, under pressure in high stakes situations last year. So we gonna sit up here, you've been hearing rumors like, that the Heat's finished, man. They in the play in. They ain't going far this year. Didn't y'all say that last year? All right, nah, don't act like you don't forgot. Don't act like you don't forgot, cause you see this bad man right here. He gonna remind you. He gonna remind you come playoff time. It don't matter if it's a play in. or if it's a playoff game, he gonna come and set that blaze afire. We already talked about how Grant Williams got burned, so I'm pretty sure this year they probably telling everybody on their team, do not talk to Jimmy Butler this season in the playoffs. Don't talk to this man. Stay far away from him as possible. Don't wake him up. We trying to keep him at the regular season Jimmy. We don't want to see playoff Jimmy. Because playoff Jimmy brings a whole nother level of service. Whole nother level. You gonna get an exclusive meal with playoff Jimmy. And I guarantee you, once you're done, you're gonna be tipping and you can't even get up out your chair because you'll be filled with that meal. Too full to move. So I'm taking the Heat on the run line. We're going up against the Hawks. Granted, the Hawks are in a playing situation as well. They're in that 9th, 10th seed era, and they're projected to play Chicago Bulls. Um, two different tier teams. If we're being honest, the Heat. We've had a lot of injuries. We got the return of recently Tyler Hero. Duncan Robinson is out right now. I know Scary Terry has been riddled with injuries a bit. But one thing we know about the Miami Heat, they're a resilient team. They're a resilient team. We already know that. So uh, we aren't phased by injuries. One thing's for certain, we're going to keep pushing forward and we find ways to scrap and get wins. And that's what we're going to do. Honestly, it may even start now. The time starts now. We projected, I guess, to be in the play-in, but that may not even be the case for the Miami Heat, knowing how talented they are. And arguably, this has been one of the most deeper teams in recent, and I'm loving it. I'm loving it. So I think the spread is at -5. So I'll take all 5 of those points and lean Miami Heat. Miami Heat is definitely going to come out, make a statement, and try to move forward. Maybe get a better position, or play in playoffs. Don't matter. Last but not least, player props. There's a couple of player props I'm looking at today. I don't know if Maxey's going to play. He's a game time decision, but I think that him going up against a Detroit Pistons team, you got to lean over. Maxey has been on a scoring tear as of late. In the last matchup against Detroit, they held Maxey to 9 points. Definitely think that's going to change tonight if he decides to be a green light. Again, I don't know the over, but you got to think Tyrese Maxey, they're another team, Philly, scrapping for, a better playoff seed spot. Well deserved. But Embiid has been out, unfortunately. So they took a lot of bumps and bruises down, and they're in the latter parts of the standings right now. But they're looking to assert dominance too. And against the Pistons, you gotta think Tyrese Maxey is going over to the max, if he plays, folks. So that's one. Also, Minnesota is playing Washington, one of the worst defensive teams in the league. They got rid of a lot of rebounders in on that Washington roster. And that's one of the things that I'm focused on. And one man feasts on opportunities like that. Not really known as a scorer, but if you give him the opportunity to rebound the ball and slam it down on your face, he'll do that. And that man's name is Rudy Gobert. I like him to go over 15.5 points today. I would have told you to take the double-double, but there wasn't really too much, juice on that pick. So I'm leaning for Rudy Gobert to at least get 16 against one of the worst defensive teams in the league. there is not anybody on the Washington Wizards that can stop Rudy Gobert from not only grabbing a rebound but dunking it on them. If you know of any Wizards players that can actually stop somebody like a Rudy Gobert, let me know. Put it down there because it'll be an interesting, hell of a conversation to talk about. And last but not least, my last prop of today, I got to look at New Orleans and the Portland Trail Blazers game. Man, this guy right here has been cooking as of late for the Pelicans, dropping 30 plus in his last 3 games. And I don't see Portland's guards doing anything about it. That man is CJ McCollum. Another, Portland beloved player. He is going to come to Portland and spread more love. Unfortunately, it'll be for the Pelicans. He's at 23 and a half right now. He's definitely going over tonight, 23 and a half points. He may even drop another 30 point. 30 plus, may even have a career out. I never know. Could go for 45. A crazy night for CJ. Never really know. But they're another team that has playoff implications when it comes to seeds. So CJ is coming out to continue doing what he does best, and that's what CJ does. Especially, hey, we get closer to playoff time again. CJ is excited. The Pelicans are excited. I know Zion is out there too. But if you for those of you who are Pelicans fans or just sports fans in general, I'm looking at CJ. CJ is definitely going over and setting this trail ablaze tonight in his return to one of his former teams. Again, one of the most beloved players in Portland history. And with that being said, folks, this concludes another episode of A Blower A Locksmith. I hope you enjoyed the episode as much as I do, serving the sports community, sports bettors. Again, like, share, subscribe, comment down below. Get the noti bell. Hey, we love you here at the X2O Joe Show. I love dropping O's. Hopefully, we just have a lovely old day. Nothing but O's. I don't even want to see an X. Don't even drop an X down below. Just debate. I don't want to see one X. All right, I'm your host, Joe. See you next week.